Did you know that Jonathan Majors has just been dropped by his agency? Chance the Rapper has been caught cheating, and Netflix is now being sued for the casting of Queen Cleopatra. Stick with me guys, because I'm gonna get into everything in this video. Okay, so at this point, it looks like Jonathan Majors' career in Hollywood is over. The Marvel actor has just been dropped by his management and PR team following his arrest. This news comes 3 weeks after he got into a domestic dispute involving a 30-year-old woman, who is assumed to be his girlfriend. They got into an altercation inside of a parked car, and she ended up having to be taken to the hospital after suffering injuries to her head and neck. She claims that Jonathan struck her with an open hand, causing substantial pain and a laceration behind her ear. She also says that he put his hand on her neck, causing bruising and substantial pain. The actor was then arrested on the 25th of March and taken into custody on suspicion of strangulation and other violent acts. His lawyer Priya Chaudhry released a statement saying that he is completely innocent and is provably the victim of the altercation. She claimed that there was evidence that proves his innocence, like video footage from the vehicle, witness testimony from the driver and others who saw what happened, and most importantly, 2 text messages from the woman recanting the allegations. But it was these text messages that might have actually been the nail in the coffin, because instead of proving his innocence, they only made Jonathan look even worse. In the messages, the woman was basically saying that she brought it all on herself, and that it's her fault for making him mad in the first place. She wrote, "They said they had to arrest you as protocol when they saw the injuries on me and knew that we had a fight. I'm so angry that they did, and I'm so sorry you're in this position. We'll make sure nothing happens about this. I told them it was my fault for trying to grab your phone." Now obviously we haven't seen the video footage yet, so we don't really know what happened, but the fact that she is so overly apologetic in these messages and blames herself for what happened makes it sound like she is a textbook victim of domestic violence. So the fact that Jonathan's lawyer thought this would somehow exonerate him is absolutely insane. It doesn't prove that he's guilty, of course, but it's probably going to impact this case in a major way. When news of his arrest went public, it seemed like everyone was scrambling to cut ties with him, and it started a kind of domino effect. In fact, he might have just won the world record for the fastest rise and fall of an acting career. He was dropped by his management company, Entertainment 360, and by his PR firm, The Lead Company. Jonathan was set to star in and executive produce the film adaptation of The Man in My Basement, but now there's already a search for a new lead. He was also in consideration for the lead role in an Otis Redding biopic, but has now been dropped from consideration. He was supposed to appear in an ad campaign for the Texas Rangers baseball team, but that was pulled at the last minute following the allegations. The US Army then followed suit and decided to pull an ad campaign that they had with him. They released a statement saying, "While Mr. Majors is innocent until proven guilty, prudence dictates that we pull our ads until the investigation into these allegations is complete." Apparently, he was also scheduled to attend the Met Gala on the 1st of May as a guest for Valentino, but of course they ended up revoking that invitation. Now, the reason Jonathan's downfall is such a big deal is because he was seriously set to become Hollywood's next big thing. The release of his movies Creed 3 and Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania pulled in a combined total of $745 million at the box office. Jonathan was cast as the latest Marvel supervillain, Kang the Conqueror. Fans were super excited about this because he was supposed to be the flag bearer for the next wave of the MCU. His character was literally set to be the next Thanos, which says everything that you need to know. If you know where Marvel is at right now, you know that they're not doing too well. Even die-hard fans are getting sick to death of the movies that they're putting out there. So the studio desperately needed to come out with another supervillain to try and secure the future of the franchise. All of this responsibility was resting on Jonathan's shoulders, so whether or not he gets to keep his role likely will determine his entire remaining career. Marvel has not yet made an official statement. In fact, according to Deadline, there have been 0 conversations about dropping him. So at least for the time being, he still has a sliver of hope that he will be able to keep his role. This might not be a good thing though, considering the fact that studios are all too happy to protect their actors if it's just too expensive to get rid of them. Which is kind of like how Warner Brothers and DC continue to stand by Ezra Miller no matter what. The actor literally went on a crime spree, and they will still let him keep his role as the Flash. So realistically, most studios have no problem putting profit over ethics. The only real difference is that Ezra has apologized and sought help for their behavior. Meanwhile, Jonathan maintains his innocence even as the case against him keeps building. There's no real telling how far this one's going to go or what else is going to come out about him, but we do know that he's expected to appear before a judge on the 8th of May. So all we can do is keep a lookout for that and see what comes of it. Okay, now did you know that Chance the Rapper has just been caught cheating? At least that's what it looks like from a viral video of him that's been circulating across the internet. In the clip, Chance was seen at the 2023 carnival in Jamaica, grinding with dancers and touching their butts. He was shirtless, wearing a pair of tie-dye shorts and his signature cap. The female dancer that was twerking on him was a model called Mella Mills, who originally posted the video on her Instagram, but it wasn't long before fans discovered it and reposted it across Twitter. As you could probably guess, this led to a lot of backlash on social media. This is because Chance is married to his wife of 4 years, Kirsten Cawley, with whom he has 2 children. So far, the video seems to have people divided and arguing about whether or not it was cheating. Some insisted that he clearly was, while others defended him and pointed out that there are certain cultural factors to take into consideration, like the fact that this kind of dancing is actually appropriate for something as festive as a carnival. There are also some very interesting comments pointing out the differences between party culture in the US versus the Caribbean. One person tweeted, "It's carnival in the Caribbean, this is the culture. Get that wine and move on. Good vibes. Americans want to sit around and buy overpriced bottles and be on their phone for fake phone." Another user wrote, "Americans refusing to understand cultures outside of America will never not be funny to me, because how the F are they saying Chance the Rapper is cheating on his wife at a carnival?" From this perspective, you could see that an event like this is a place where you're supposed to have fun and let loose. Not only that, but many people have pointed out that this style of dancing, which a lot of people would call grinding, is not necessarily sexual. It's literally just another style of dance that happens to be popular in another part of the world. It might have a different meaning in the US, but those rules should not necessarily be applied to other cultures outside of the country. But at the same time, there were also a lot of people who said that it was straight up cheating, regardless of the context. The argument is that if you're in a monogamous relationship, your body is completely off limits. So whether you're married or just dating, there's no reason for you to be touching anyone that isn't your partner, because it's just disrespectful to them. Fans accuse Chance of dancing like he is single when he is very clearly not. One person tweeted, "Dude made a whole album about getting married and then did this." So that's the other thing, he's pretty much known as a certified wife guy, which is a term for men who publicly glorify their wives and brand themselves through their marriages. It's literally his whole brand. What's really interesting is that a lot of these self-proclaimed super devoted husbands eventually fall short in some way or another. They usually put themselves on a pedestal, and then something ends up coming out about them which completely ruins their image, which is crazy because they usually spend so much time and effort trying to brand themselves as a wife guy. This is exactly what happened when Chance got married to Kirsten in 2019. He made it his mission to let the world know how happy they were together. In fact, it was their domestic bliss that inspired his album The Big Day. The whole thing was basically a love letter to Kirsten, which seems like it should have had a very warm reception, but the complete opposite happened. His good intentions backfired and the album got savaged by critics. The Fader called the lyrics criminally corny, and the New York Times said that it was his least effective release to date. Disappointed fans on Twitter then made memes about how often Chance talked about his wife. There was even a video dedicated to counting how many times he mentions her in the song. For a while, it seemed like everyone everywhere was just mocking him. Listeners were also frustrated at the improvisational tone and the style of his performance. So there was a lot of reasons why the album flopped. Overall, people felt that it was just a major step down from his previous work. In the midst of the mounting criticism, Chance would end up cancelling the album's tour and said that he wanted to spend time with his family. But most people believe that low ticket sales were the real reason that he pulled out. These days, he's doing a lot better and he's managed to regain some of that momentum that he had early on in his career. But as far as everyone else is concerned, he's still a certified wife guy. Moving on, what do you guys think about the controversy surrounding Netflix's new miniseries Queen Cleopatra? When the trailer dropped last week, it's safe to say that it was met with mixed reactions. The 4-part documentary is produced by Jada Pinkett Smith, and it's come under fire for its portrayal of Cleopatra, who is being played by a beautiful black actress called Adele James. This is going to be the second entry in Jada's series about various African queens. According to the description, Queen Cleopatra will set out to tell a story of the world's most famous, powerful, and misunderstood woman, a daring queen whose beauty and romances came to overshadow her real asset, her intellect. The official synopsis reads, "Cleopatra's heritage has been the subject of much academic debate, which has often been ignored by Hollywood. Now, our series reassesses this fascinating part of her story, but it's this point that seems to have everyone getting so upset. Now, some social media users and historians are speaking out against the casting of Cleopatra, as they believe believe it's just historically inaccurate. According to historians, she is the descendant of the Macedonian Greek general who ruled over Egypt when it was part of Alexander the Great's empire. Historians also widely agree that Greek was her mother tongue, but even though this is commonly believed, the facts surrounding her ethnicity are still argued about to this day. So the idea that she was Greek is something that Jada series has obviously decided to deviate from. This is why the topic has become so contentious. Now, some people have even gone as far as accusing Netflix of rewriting history instead of choosing to center the stories of historical black women in positions of power. Many have called on a streaming platform to cancel the show and even created an official petition collecting signatures to try and get it shut down. It was started on change.org, but the site has since removed the campaign on the grounds that it violated the public petitions platform community guidelines. But what's even crazier than that is that an Egyptian lawyer has now decided to sue Netflix just because of Cleopatra's depiction. According to Egypt Independent, he is demanding that all legal measures be taken against those responsible for the documentary. He also called the series a crime, which Netflix has participated in, and accused them of falsifying facts. The complaint also called for an investigation into the matter and for Netflix to be blocked in Egypt. The case they're trying to make is that the documentary is attempting to distort or obliterate the Egyptian identity. The legal documents stated that in order to preserve the Egyptian national and cultural identity, there must be pride in the makings of such work. But even though Cleopatra's heritage is highly debated, there is also another side to the argument. When Jada made a statement promoting the series, she said, "We don't often get to see or hear stories about black queens, and that was really important to me as well for my daughter, and just for my community to be able to know those stories because there are tons of them." In past depictions, the Egyptian queen has often been portrayed as overly sexual, excessive, and corrupt, but this new documentary is going to show us another side of her which hasn't been explored as much. Jada's series is apparently going to show her as a strategist, an intellect, and a commanding force of nature who fought to protect her kingdom. So there's no saying how the actual show is going to turn out, but it might just be something that needs to be given a chance before it gets written off as historically inaccurate. So what do you guys think about this latest story? Please let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.